I think we're good to go. What do you
Okay,
think?
great.
Yes.
Okay, so welcome everybody. And I'm really delighted to see you and people from all over the world. That's always exciting. And 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 this session, as you know, is about visioning. And I think this is a really important time for us to be able to sense the future because we've been left in so much confusion and uncertainty. And I found for a while when I did this exercise myself, I couldn't go forward more than 6 months. I just felt it was impossible to see ahead. And now I'm doing a year today. I do 5 years as well, or when you're 80 years old, that kind of thing. But it just feels like right now that's a good period to go forward. Now, let me just say a few words about the visioning. Not too much, you can find them in my books because I'd rather spend the time on the exercises. So briefly, why do we do visioning the way we do it? What we do is we get into a space and time ship, go off the face of the earth, and then go into the future, and we go into two possible futures. So first of all, why do we have to go to the future and look back? And the reason is that when we look forward, when I think, what do I want to do in a year or 5 years? We're using our rational mind, and it's very affected by all our expectations, our history, our ideas about what somebody else might approve of is very much by our culture. But when we jump into the future, it's our intuitive wisdom that kicks off. And that intuitive wisdom helps us to what I call sense the future rather than set a goal. So we're not setting goals, we're sensing our goals. And sometimes when people do this visioning, they actually get a real picture of something that actually they write me later happens. However, mostly that's not the case. Mostly what we're doing is our best understanding of what would work for us. And usually there's a feeling of both surprise and recognition. You're surprised at that future, but also you somehow knew it. Somewhere you knew about that. One of the advantages also of doing this visioning is it can reduce your anxiety. Once you've seen it, once you've seen the future, you have a confidence that you can get there. You just have to do the work. And I think that's really important. And the other important thing is that once we get to the future, we can look back and see how we got there. That's like using hindsight before the event. What did it take for me to get here? And I'm going to be doing 1 year ahead, but you could use this exercise every day, which I sometimes have done in my life. Every day I use a shorter version of it, or before an important event or an important choice or whatever. So I use this a lot to help me know what choice I should make. Now I say what choice because we're not doing one future, but two futures. Now, why is that? It's because people say, well, why don't you just think positive? Why are you doing something negative? Well, it turns out that the negative future, when I ask people, how did they get there? They usually say, I just kept on the what I was doing. So people really feel that if they just go on as they are, it's a slippery slope. But when we do the positive future, we're able to find out what takes a little bit more effort, a little bit more upping your game. And the way we can tell also how to get there is that we look back at both, at the path to both futures, and we find out what's the difference. What did I do to end up in the negative future? Which, as I say, often people say, I did nothing. And what did I do to end up in the positive future? And that really is the $1 million question, because it tells you how to get where you're going. So that's terribly important. This is not about seeing the future in some prophecy way, although, as I say, it can happen. It's more about finding out what attitude you need to take to get to the future that you want. Now, one of the most important things about imagery in general and visioning in particular is surrender. And that means if you have decided that you want a future with X, Y, and Z, you want the boyfriend to be there, or you want whatever, it doesn't work because you're not willing to listen to what your wisdom is telling you. So in order to do this work, we all have to surrender everything we want and to see what our unconscious wisdom tells us will work for us. And I said boyfriend because I always remember one of my students who just couldn't do this because she wanted to have a boyfriend no matter what. And if it wasn't going to appear, she wasn't going to be happy. So she wasn't surrendering and it wasn't going to work. So whatever happens, just relax. You'll see a negative future. And then I say, you see it, you don't have to have it, but you're going to find out what it took to get there. And then the positive future, again, you'll find out. And hopefully we have time. I told you to have pen and paper because we like to write a letter from your future self, which you can keep forever, or at least for the next year, which I use a lot. I look at it a lot when I've written these letters because they remind me of what's important. Okay, so I'm going to start with the exercise unless there's some questions. And John, you'll help me with that.
No questions, just colleagues saying that the sound is working well for them. So that's good news.
Okay.
Good news.
Great.
Yes.
And no questions about the visioning.
No, I don't see anything in the chat room just now. So, well, let's do the exercise. And if we pick up some questions along the way, I'll scribble them down. So if anybody wants to type in any questions for us, please do that. And I'll make sure we don't miss them. So, yeah.
Okay, great. Okay. So, are you ready to roll? Yes, no?
Let's go. Yes.
No,
Yes.
no.
Thumbs up. There we go. Great.
Yeah, good. Okay. Well, this is quite daunting to go into the future, so just, be ready. Okay. So I'm going to suggest we close our eyes and roll our eyeballs up towards the ceiling. Hold them there for a moment and forget our eyes. Notice any tension in my body and say hello to it. Smile at anything and then forget your body. Imagine that there's a big light above your head. And this light has the power to cleanse, clean, heal, absorb whatever doesn't serve you. It's a sort of magic light, probably a light that comes from the soul if you believe in the soul. So I'd like you to imagine that you pull the light, it touches the top of your head and you just go, thank God for that. I can feel that light and I feel, oh my God, that's great. I can relax now. And then I pull the light through my head, through that brain, absorbing all the words and the worries and the thoughts, and cleansing my eyes, my nose, my lips, my tongue, my throat, clearing, cleansing, healing. And a nice sigh, and it's coming down through my neck and touching my shoulders like a massage. And I feel, oh my God, I don't have to carry the weight of the world on my shoulders anymore. And so I pull that light down, nice sigh, down through my torso, my arms, my wrists, my hands, my fingers, down through my belly, my breast, my belly, my back, my chest, my lower back, down through my bum and my legs, and down through my feet, and then let the light sink through the bottom of my feet into the earth, and then into this, down to the center of the earth, where Mother Earth loves all this stuff that you've absorbed. She uses it as food. This is what I heard from some shamans from Peru. And allow the feeling of lightness to come up, which Mother Earth is giving you through your feet, your legs, your torso, your neck, and your head. And imagine that your consciousness is so light that it goes up as through a hole in the top of your head and floats off like a cloud in the summer afternoon. And now, I'd like you to imagine that you're in a space and time ship of your own design. That means a ship that travels through space and through time. And you're sitting on a very comfortable plush chair. I want you to feel that chair, and you've got some controls ahead of you. And then, and if you've got it all, would you just raise your hand so you know, I know you're with me, you're in your space and time ship. Just raise a hand so we can see how people are doing, unless you're too deep in the in the relaxation to do it. Is that looking good, John?
I can see lots of hands up, so thank you. Some thumbs up as well. Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
So what I want you to notice is that there are 3 controls that you haven't seen, and they're going to come forward now. One of them is a dial. And using your hand, I want you to adjust that dial to either a year from now, or the age you'll be in a year, or the date it will be, whichever means more to you. Okay? Second, you'll see a lever. Let that lever come forward.
Dina, something has happened with your sound just there, so let's just pause for a moment.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, you're back with us.
Okay.
Great.
So I seem to have to be very close. Okay, so I'll have to do that. Yeah. So can you hear me now? Yeah. Oh.
That's perfect. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Dina. Thank you for that. Yeah.
Okay.
Don't worry. I'll give you a shout if anything goes wrong with the sound. I'll just, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I have had some problems. Okay. So if the lever is up, it means you're going to that time in the future, feeling great about your life. And if, because you've honored your true self, if it's down, you're going to that time in the same time, year ahead, feeling bad because you've neglected or betrayed your true self. And I want you to put the lever down. We're going to go into that negative future first. And then once you've seen it, you don't have to have it. But it's always a little bit confronting with our possibilities. And the third is a go button. And I want you to press that go button. Again, do everything physically. Press the go button and go, go, go. The space and time ship is lifting off the face of the earth. It's going further from the earth. The earth is getting smaller and smaller. And you land in a space that is beyond the tyranny of time, beyond space and time. And you hang out there for a moment and just relax. And just relax. And now we're going to turn that space and time ship towards the earth, and we're going to press that go button again, and we're going to go, go, go towards the future that we don't feel good about, the negative future. We're going to go, go, go towards the earth a year from now, feeling bad about my life. The earth is getting bigger and bigger. And finally, I land. I land. Now, before you get out of the space and time ship, just acclimatize yourself for a moment. Okay, and now I want you to step out of that space and time ship. Step out and have a look around. What can you see? What are you feeling? What are you wearing? Situate yourself in this negative future and just breathe. Just notice, very important, how am I feeling? What's my main feeling? What's the main thing that makes me feel that way? And now we're going to just look briefly at some of the areas of your life. First of all, your relationships. How are, in this negative future, how are your relationships? If you have any, some people find they don't have any when they get here. How are your relationships? And what have you done to get yourself to these relationships? You have to be honest with yourself here. How have I got myself to this negative place? And then let's move on to your work or your creativity. What am I doing to work or to express my creativity, if anything? Just really, again, what's happening to you in terms of work and creativity? And what did I do to get myself there? Again, you got to be honest with yourself. And now we're going to look at my relationship with myself. How do I feel about myself? How do I take care of myself in this future? If I do, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, do I take care of myself? How? How do I feel about life in this picture? And how do I feel about death? And now here's the probably most important question. What did I do to get myself here? What did I do or not do? But what did I do to get myself here? This is terribly important. And I want you not to use your rational mind, but to look back in your memory. Over the last year, what did I do to get myself here? And if you could send a message, now I want you to listen carefully because people often are surprised by what I say. If you could send a message back to that person that you were in Dina's workshop in September 2020, if you could tell him or her the recipe for ending up feeling as bad as you, I don't mean recipe to succeed, the recipe to feel bad, what would that be? What's your recipe? And if you can, if you're in a room that you can do it, speak out loud. You know, my recipe is stay frightened, let's say. Or my recipe is don't do anything that is challenging, or whatever. What is your recipe to end up like that? And I want you to look at that person you were and see, does he or she get it? Do they get that is what I have to do to end up with a negative future? So really get it, what this is about and how I got here. Because deep inside, you know the truth of this. But you may not have told yourself that. Okay, and now I want you to go back into your space and time ship. You've seen it. You don't have to have it. You've seen exactly what you have to do to end up feeling bad. You don't have to do it. Okay, so you're back in your space and time ship. and you press that go button again. Go, go, go. Off the face of the earth, back to that dimension where past, present, and future are one. Outside the tyranny of time and space. And just reflect for a moment on what happened. And what I want you to do is take a decontamination shower, because you've got all your molecules in this negative picture. So really, I want to see you do it. Wash your hair, wash your body, decontamination shower, to get rid of all those ways of seeing the world that have brought you here. Just shake them off, wash them off. And then relax. And just tell yourself what you've just learned. And now I want you to, again, use your hand to pick the lever up. Pick the lever up. We're going to, a year from now, feeling wonderful about our lives because we have honored our true self. So the lever is up. Check the dial is still 1 year, or however you've put it. A nice sigh. And now I want you to press that go button again. We're going to go, go, go towards the earth a year from now, feeling great about our lives because we have honored our true self and done what we had to do to get here. So the earth is getting bigger and bigger, and we land, and we land. Now stay in there for a moment just to get acclimatized. You're a year ahead in the future. It's a bit discombobulating. And now I want you to step out of your space and time ship. And I'm going to do that as well. And look around. What can you see? What are you feeling? What are you wearing? And what's the main thing that makes you feel this good? What is the main thing that makes you feel this good? And the place you're in might be symbolic, or it might be a real place. Don't worry about that. What's the main thing that makes me feel this good? And at this moment, let me consider, what do I do differently to get here? See if you can come up with that right now. So you're comparing the two pathways, how you got to the negative future and how you got to the positive future. Okay, and we'll do that a little bit more in a minute. Now, I want you to look at your relationships in this picture. Relationships means with colleagues, family, friends, students, anybody, clients, anyone in your life. What are my relationships like in this picture? That's the main quality of my relationships. And who is in my relationship life? How is that different from the first future? And what did I do to get myself here? To get myself to these relationships? Again, be very specific. How did I get these relationships? Okay. And now we want to look at my work or my creativity. What am I doing for work if I am? How do I express my creativity? Again, be as specific as possible. And if you can't quite get it, get the feeling of it so you'll recognize it if it comes to you. What am I doing? Or how am I being creative? And what did I do to get myself here? What did I do to get myself here? Again, be very specific. What steps did I take? What attitude did I have that got me to this work or this creativity? You might compare it to the other picture. And now I want you to shift over to look at your relationship with yourself in this picture. How do you feel about yourself? How do you take care of yourself, mind, emotion, body, spirit? What did you do to get yourself here? What was the main attitude you had or step you took? And what do you feel about life? If someone said, what's life like? What would you say? And what do you feel about death in this picture? And now we're back to that million-dollar question. What did I do differently in this picture than the other? This is the most important thing here. What did I do differently? And if you can find your pen and paper, I'd like you to write a letter to yourself in September 2020 from September 2021. So get the paper, put the date September 2021 at the top. Say, dear, whatever your name is, 2020. So I'd write, dear Dina 2020 from Dina 2021. And I want you to write to that person you were from the future to say what he or she needs to remember in order to get to this future. Be as specific as possible. Don't say, be yourself all the time. That isn't helpful. Be so specific that you'll know if you've done it or not. Okay? I'm just going to give you a few moments for this, and you can finish it later, during the break or something if you don't have enough time. Okay.
A request. Oh, sorry, Dina.
Yeah, sorry.
We got a request for a reminder of the aims.
The aims
Yes.
of the letter.
Yes, I think so.
Yes.
Yes.
Just to tell the person how to get to the positive future. But we need to stop now. So just sign love and your name and come back to it later if you haven't finished. Just telling him or her the key points, how to get here. Okay, so we need to move on from here and we need to get back into our space and time ship. Put the paper down. You can finish the letter later, but you've started that process. Okay, so we're now going to get into the space and time ship. Press that go button. Again, physically press the go button. And we're going to go, go, go off the face of the earth back to that dimension where past, present, and future are one, beyond the tyranny of time and space. And just hang out for a moment there and reflect. What did I learn from those two futures? What's the main thing that I'm left with? What's the main thing I need to do differently? Okay, and so what I want you to do now, keep the lever up, but change the dial so it's back to September 2020. We're coming back to the present, as some famous film told us to do. Back to the present. I want you to turn the space and time ship towards the earth, towards 2020. Lever's still up. Press the go button and go, go, go towards the face of the earth until you land back in September 2020. Leave your space and time ship outside your flat or house or wherever you are and come back into your body in this room. Come back into your body in this room. And just breathe. Now you have your space and you have your lever up. So I want you to consider, what do I feel good about in 2020? This is the present moment that I feel good about. So give yourself one or two or three things that you're happy about right now. Thank you. And now, here's another really big question, which I wish I could get answers from straight away. Some of you might want to write in the chat room. Before I ask you which future you want, I'm going to say, what is it that would make you want the first future? We all have a yearning or a leaning towards that negative future, even though we tell ourselves that's not what I want. So what would make you feel that you'd like to go that way? I had one student who said, I can't bring my mother into the positive future, so I'll go to the negative future. Sometimes it's familiarity or security, whatever. So what is it that would make me want the negative future? It's very good to be honest with yourself. Doesn't mean you're choosing it, but it means you're acknowledging the bit of you that would choose it, is willing to choose it. And now I'm going to ask you another question, which is, which future do I want? And hopefully you're willing to make a commitment to that positive future. Hopefully you're willing to make a commitment to that positive future. And now I want you to put that picture of yourself in a bubble. Hopefully, it's the positive future. And I'm going to ask you some questions. I want you to imagine that you have this bubble, but there's also a larger bubble which includes all the bubbles of all the people in this workshop. So I want you to hold this enormous bubble with your two hands. And I'm going to now ask you, are you willing to do whatever you have to get there? That doesn't mean that you will get there, but it means that you're much more likely to get there. Are you willing to do whatever you have to get there? If so, I invite you to say out loud, if you can, I ask and intend for this to be. I ask and intend for this to be. Feel the power of that commitment you're making to do whatever you have to do. And secondly, I'm going to ask you, in the unlikely event that you can't make this happen, you can't make it happen, you can just do your best. In the unlikely event that this doesn't happen, are you willing to accept whatever comes and to know that you'll still be okay? Because if we don't do that, we've got too much anxiety and it doesn't work. So are you willing to let it go? I'll do my best and that's all I can do and I'll still be okay. And if so, I want you to say, and I release it. Say it out loud, and I release it. And once you've done that, you've asked and intended and released it, I want you to blow that bubble, that big bubble with all these bubbles away into the domain of potential waiting to be actualized. So that's 1, 2, 3. Blow that bubble away so it disappears out of sight into the domain of potential waiting to be actualized. And now I'm going to invite you, if you're willing, to do a kind of a shamanic invocation. We'll do it sitting down. It's too difficult to be standing up. And we'll go, so must it be now. And when I say now, I move my hand and I stamp my foot and I feel the power of that commitment. So I'll say that again, but really feel that all the molecules are going to move around inside you if you've really got it. So must it be now. And if you haven't quite got it, here's another chance. So must it be now. And now just take that feeling from the future that you want and put it in your heart. Again, do this physically. Thank you. It is already so. I already feel like that. I already feel like that. And just relax. And later on, if we have time, we'll stand up and take 3 steps to see what our steps are to the future. But for the time being, I'm going to bring you back into the room from wherever you are. So keep your eyes closed. And I'm going to count up from 1 to 5. And I suggest when I say 5, you open your eyes, feeling relaxed and alert, bringing all this wisdom back with you and this confidence that you can have that future, that you're going to do what you have to get to. So 1, 2, coming to the surface, eyelids lightening. 3, 4, 5, eyes open. Coming back to this room. Look around you, stamp your feet, both feet this time, just stamp your feet. Come back and become present. Some of you look like you've been fast asleep for a while. And just relax into knowing that you've taken a big step. And just very briefly, we're going to stop for a break. I think John will have something to say first, but
Yeah.
we're going to come back in 5 minutes. And just to say, there's going to be a PowerPoint to tell you which John will tell you about. But basically, when you get to the breakout room, you're going to introduce yourself. You're going to ask, what truth or feeling are you left with? What is the difference between the two paths? What is one thing I'm willing to commit to do? So each person takes 3 to 5 minutes, depending on the size of the group. And John, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that everybody can see that slide up on the screen with instructions. Yes, I'm getting some thumbs up. Oh, that's lovely. Thank you. So we're putting this up just now while we have our 5-minute screen break, loo break, kettle break, whatever it is you need, or all 3 perhaps. So what you might want to do is just also grab your smartphone if you have one and just take a little picture of the instructions so that you've got it with you in the breakout rooms. So that can be really useful. So we can have the slide here, but it won't show up in the breakout room. So if you want to take a little picture, oh, that's great. I can see some colleagues doing that. These phones are so handy at times. Good. Is everybody ready for a little cuppa break? Yeah, shall we do that?
I can see that. I'm sorry if I was going too fast, but we're in this time pressure. But starting next workshop I do, we're going to be running it 1 to 4, so we have 3 hours instead of 2, because 2 hours is just a bit hard to get it all in. And also, people in New York might be able to come, which I don't know about California. Okay.
Okay, so let's do that. We'll come back in 5 minutes and we'll do the instructions again, and then we'll go into the breakout rooms. See you in 5. Hope you'll take a little break too, Dina.
Yeah.
Good, good. Let's go and put the kettle on. See you in 5 minutes.
Okay. And take 3 steps.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, so we'll do that at the last minute.
Oh, thank you for the colleagues who are choosing to type, and yeah, it sounds like it's been really powerful. Yeah, a heartfelt thanks to everyone in room 46. Lovely. So lots of enjoyment in the talking, and hopefully if the breakout rooms weren't right for you too, it was also helpful to have that time, that space as well. Yeah.
It sounds like the chat rooms were really great. You know, people have an identification now with their chat room. It's great.
Yes, yes. Good. Oh yeah, lots of good connections being made, and fantastic. There's a little hands up function. I put my right teeth. Function. There's a hands up function in Zoom. So when you tap or click on participants in Zoom, you see a list of everybody's name, and at the bottom of that list, there's a button you can click to raise your hand. So if you did want to come on the video and be unmuted and ask Dina a question, you're very welcome to do that. You can either let us know that in the chat room or raise your hand. Yeah. And if you want to click the button, click it on and off just to test it. We won't instantly unmute you, don't worry. Yes. Okay, so some feedback about would have been nice to have more time for the visioning exercise.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally
Yeah.
agree. And as I say, from now on, I'm only doing 3-hour workshops because
Yeah.
that's going to work better.
Yeah. Yeah, taking that extra time. A comment as well really highlighted what has stopped me making progress.
Yes. That's why I do the negative future. You know, you have to be honest with yourself about how you sabotage yourself. So we all have to, you know, face that.
Yeah, yeah, really helpful. And the colleague enjoying having some time on their own for self-reflection. So thank you for that too.
And by the way, if you run groups or even individual sessions, if you do a very brief kind of visioning at the beginning of the group, the negative future and the positive future and so on, sometimes people really come clean about what they're, you know, what they do when they are sabotaging themselves and how they might sabotage you as well, blame you for it or something. It's quite good. It helps people take responsibility for their reactions at the end of the session or the group. If they've already seen their negative future and the positive future and they know it's up to them, it does help. Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about that in our breakout room, weren't we, Dina, about how powerful that is. Because sometimes if we only stay in what we want, we don't take care of what
Yeah,
wants to keep us in stasis as well and keep us from changing. Yeah. Oh yeah, another colleague saying very useful to do the negative future.
yeah.
Interesting. Even though my positive future wasn't that dramatically different, but felt different because I was accepting of the reality. Oh, thank you for that comment.
Yeah,
That's,
that's really great, you know, because sometimes it isn't that different. It's just you are different.
yes, yes. Yeah, that's really interesting. And we've got a few more sessions lined up with different things to do, but we're wondering if we ran this session again, but in a 3-hour slot, whether your colleagues might come back. So I want maybe you give us some feedback on that. Would you come again to do it a little slower with us?
Maybe in 6 months or something.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely in capital letters, lots of yeses. Oh, great. So maybe today we've kind of got a little bit of a taste. Oh, yeah. Sarah, I can see you with your thumbs up. Thank you.
Yeses.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
It's what we call being a glutton for punishment, isn't it?
Okay. Right. Well, it feels like we've kind of got something started today and we could come back and
Yeah.
do that.
Also, you'd have more time in the breakout rooms. You know, what I normally do is have more time to share in little groups when I have time. Please don't waste 6 months.
Okay, come back. Yes.
Come back soon.
Good.
Does anybody have any questions?
I'm so busy looking at the chat room. I can see there's some colleagues popping up their hands. So let's see. I'm just going to. Here we go. Hi, Anupa. Hi, I can see you.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hi.
Did you have a question to bring?
Yes. Hi, Dina.
Hi there.
If we do, you said earlier that you do this exercise sometimes daily or sometimes it seems quite, do you go through the whole thing?
No, I don't. And actually, in the letter I send out, I give you a little exercise of how to do it. You basically say, it's the end of the day and I feel, say, bad. End of the day and I feel bad. What's the bad feeling? What's the main thing that makes me feel bad? How did I get there? Right. End of the day and I feel good. What's the good feeling? What's the main thing that makes me feel good? How did I get there? Then I come back to the present. Which do I want? Put it in a bubble, ask and intend for it to be, and I release it. So must have been that. that takes maybe 5 minutes.
Right.
And, you know, it's a fascinating thing to do, to see what you want from the day. And I remember when I was working in an institution, in a college, I realized that the days that I went there, I didn't feel it was my day. I
Yeah.
felt I'd handed it over to the institution. And I thought, no, that's not good. I've got to take it back and have it my day. You know, so that was one of the more interesting things that came up. But I always do that also if you're having an interview, or if you're doing a difficult thing, or if you're making a choice. It's terribly useful.
Yeah. Great. Yes, because it feels very useful, but I just like to learn how to do it in a smaller way, and I guess it's just practice. Just take 10 minutes.
You don't need space and time shifts and all that. All
No.
that's because you're going for a bigger time period.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for the question. Thank you. That's lovely. Let's see if we can go to Julia. Shall we do that?
Hello.
Hi there.
Hi. Thank you, Dina. That was tremendously interesting. I picked a date which was just over a year because I'm going to be 40, and I heard this saying some years ago that what other people think of you is none of your business. And I thought, you know what, when I'm 40, I'm really going to inhabit that. That's going to be really true for me when I'm 40. And what I got from this experience is, in addition to that I'm responsible. So the idea that what other people think of me is for them, but what am I responsible for? And I just wondered about how you sort of match up the idea of responsibility with the idea of the subconscious, the kind of that your subconscious is creating this unplanned, just visionary future. How do you square that with what we can be responsible for? Does that make sense?
You're implying that you're unconscious, or that your intuitive wisdom isn't you. So the whole thing is you. The unconscious, the conscious thing, it's all you. And the way that you take responsibility, I think, is by doing exercises like this and seeing what your unconscious is telling you. And then you can decide to follow it or not. So you may not have known this before, so difficult to take that responsibility. But once you know it, then you have a choice. Am I going to, and that's why I ask, are you willing to do whatever you have to get there? Even if you're not going to get there, just the willingness to put your will behind it is a really big deal. And I know in my own experience, when I've done whatever I had to do and didn't get there, I still felt pleased that I'd done it. Because people don't want to do it because they might fail. But even if I failed, I did my best and I was good with that.
Yeah.
It just didn't work out. Yeah, so you have a lot of more choice than we know. And particularly you notice it when people have this tendency, everybody has a slight tendency toward the negative future. It's easier.
So you're saying we're responsible also for our subconscious, or once we know about, like, we're responsible to do work which puts us in touch with our subconscious.
Yes, and then to make choices that say it's, let's call it our intuitive wisdom.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'd say that. And if you don't know and you make it go wrong, then it's time to look at it, not blame yourself, but say, what was my motivation? What was the alternative? Next time I can do it differently. So that's how you keep taking responsibility, even when you didn't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Julia, for the question. Thank you. I think that's a helpful question for all of us. I think, yes, I think that's what's so good about these questions. They're individual and universal. There was another one I noticed in the chat room, colleagues saying, I have a strong wrong, in inverted commas, I have a strong wrong talking when I try to be more self-centered and take time for myself, or even rest and meditate. So the good future is colored by this self-criticism. Can I shake this off?
The good future is colored by
the self-criticism that's attacking the, like that it's not okay to take time for ourselves. And yeah.
Okay, so have a conversation with what I call your control mind, which is the bit in your forehead, which wants to keep you safe by criticizing you. I do that. I have a conversation and I say, what are you doing this for? I'm just trying to protect you. Please, this is harmful to me. If I tell you it's harmful, could you please stop? And sometimes that works for me. I mean, there are a lot of ways in which you can talk to the part of you that is criticizing you and saying, please, you're actually harming me. Please stop. And we'll talk about that you can protect me in a better way. Because it is an urge towards self-protection. It just isn't a very good one. So.
Yes.
And can I just take a few moments now, if we don't have other questions, for you to do this bit, which we didn't do before. But it's good to stand up, but I'm not sure that you're going to be able to hear me when you stand up. That's the problem. So maybe, yeah. So,
is there a little trumpet where you are, Dina?
Yeah, somebody's out. Yes.
Someone's outside. No, I just wanted to make sure.
You can hear it, but you can.
It's maybe the perfect thing to get us all on our feet.
Yeah, that's
so
true. That's true.
Maybe it's perfect.
That's true. We just came in time. Okay, so maybe just get up and this is what I'm going to ask you to do: to look at the picture in the bubble and take 3 steps towards the goal. And I'm just going to say first step. And what you do is you stand up. You might be able to do it sitting down, but I don't think it's so powerful. Stand up and take your first step. Put your feet together, then the second, then the third. But I'll talk to you. Don't go too far so you can hear me. Okay, so I want you to see the picture and you're seeing what your steps are toward it. So with your right foot, step number 1, put your 2 feet together. Breathe. What is my first step? Let the answer come from the bowels of the earth. Next step, your left foot forward. Put them together. Breathe. What is my second step? Say them out loud if you're on your own. Everything's better out loud. And then right foot forward, put the feet together, third step. Breathe. And then look back at the person that you were before you took these steps and tell her or him, yes, it's worth it, if you feel it is. Yes, go for it, do it. I'm happy to have done it, if that's true. Okay, and now you can come back to your seat, and when you get a chance, write down those 3 steps so that you remember them. Okay, so anything else anybody wants to ask, or should we go on to the last bit?
I wonder, is it worth, now that everybody's sitting down with their pen, could you repeat the steps for colleagues to write? Well,
the steps are put your right foot forward, then put the 2 together. What is it? What's the truth that comes from the bowels of the earth? That's my first step. So I go forward, I do it, I'm just doing it. My first step is relax, you know. And then you put the left foot forward, put the 2 together. What's the second step? And then right foot, put the feet together, the third step. So each time you have to stop, breathe, and find out what the message is. And someone's asking, what do you do with clients who don't feel it's worth it? And I think the answer is that you have to do something else let's say, talk to the inner child, or, you know, there are a lot of other exercises that you could do, or other things to find out what is stopping them. For example, I worked with someone who in her childhood had an expectation that her parents, that once she moved, everything was going to be okay, and then it wasn't. So very hard for her to feel it's worth it to take steps. You know, they came from a distant past. So you have to find out what's stopping them. You know, it doesn't always work with the exercise. What does help is seeing the negative future, because sometimes that puts you off so much that you're willing to go for it. And the end of the day, someone asked, well, yeah, and I'm going to send that to you, or John is, what's the feeling? What's the main thing that makes me feel that good or bad? What did I do to get there? Okay, John, should I say something about the next course?
That would be lovely. Yes, please,
Okay.
Dina. Yes.
So the plan is, this time was about life choices, seeing what works for you. The next one will be about life changes. And that's going to be a 3-hour one in November. I don't have the date in front of me, but you'll get that. And it's called Making Life Changes, Saying Yes. And this is about choosing one thing that you find difficult, that you know you want to do, but you find difficult. And finding out what is stopping you. Because very often it's a matter of your vision, that you can't imagine being that person, or you think it's going to be a negative. I want to be very popular, but actually I think people will be envious of me, so I won't do it, that kind of thing. Or that you're criticizing yourself as you are now, saying you're only going to be good. I once wrote an article called, I'd love you unconditionally if only you were different. And
that's a great title.
That attitude doesn't really work, because if you do change, either you won't change because you'll be resentful, or you'll change and feel bad anyway. Yeah, and there'll be a link about the next course. Yeah. Someone asked about what's the feeling. At the end of the day, you're doing a positive future and a negative future. What's the feeling in the positive future? What's the feeling in November? In the negative future.
So I've just got, we haven't posted this yet on
No, because
our Eventbrite, but we've got the 12th of November, 1 p.m.
Yeah, 12th of November, 1 p.m.
Yeah, so please save the date in your diary.
Yeah.
As soon as we got it posted, we're going to email everybody, so we'll get that, but hold that space open if you want to come. Well, I'm sure you do want to come back. And
I'm just going to show you the books again, so you remember this Life Choices, Life Changes has this exercise and many others, and you'll find that on my website is CDs. This is Joy of Burnout, full of exercises, but also if you're burnt out, read it. Third is You Are What You Imagine, which takes you through 10 steps and 10 exercises, and there's a double CD MP3 that will take you through it. And this is the memoir where you find out all about how imagery changed my life, but really about me. And yes, it is recorded.
Yes, we have been recording today, so it'll take us a few days just to get all that ready, but we'll also email everybody out so you can engage with the recording too. If you can't come on the 12th, we'll be recording also, so you can purchase that recording. Yes. So if you can't make it live, but so 12th of November and also the 15th of December at 1 o'clock. So those are the 2 dates for your diary.
And then January, we have a date also.
Oh yes, that's right. We put that in. Yeah, let me just get the date in January as well. just searching my diary now. The 22nd of January. So 3 dates for your diary: 12th of November, 15th of December, the 22nd of January. They'll all be at 1 o'clock UK time.
And by the way, if anybody wants me to do something very specific, just where can they send a note to?
Just reply to any of the online events emails that you get, or come to the online events website and hit the big help button and send us your suggestions. So yes, yes.
Yes, oh, someone is saying the first book, and yes, it's probably the same as in 1989. And this is the book, Life Choices, Life Changes. They're all available on Amazon. The books I'm not sending out from the website anymore because of COVID-related matters, but you can get those on Amazon, and the MP3s are on my website. And those are very important to take you through the exercises, or to play them for other people or for a group. We have groups meeting who just play the exercise and the whole group goes through it. So that's very useful. Okay, and are there any other questions?
Yeah, a colleague asking about the link for the July workshop with the recording. If you pop us an email, we'll respond to your email with the link to get that recording. So that'd be no problem. There's a question about when's Italy going to be open again for workshops?
Yeah, oh, that is one of those things. It's possible June. That's my fantasy. But if not, next October. I'll probably start the training program. I'm now in the process of writing a book called The Image Work Handbook. How to use transformational imagery in therapy, counseling, coaching, helping professions, etc. And that's going along with a training course in imagery, which the plan is that I'll be doing them online, you know, with online events, but also it'll be like 3 modules, and you can replace any module with coming to Italy in person if we're not stopped.
Yeah.
Because I was supposed to run something this October, and disappointingly, I just saw it couldn't be done, you know. But the future is, you know, always tantalizingly hopeful.
Absolutely. And it's so good that so many of us can be here together online meantime and do some of this work together.
It's great. And it's great that we can have people from other countries and all that, which I couldn't do. And having over 200 people, you know, it's not going to happen in person like that.
Yes.
So,
yes, absolutely.
Someone says, I need that new book in a hurry. Me too.
Yes, yes, yeah. So that's also something that we're planning, like to do those smaller groups, make those available. So yeah, if you feel like you'd like to join that, also you could pop us a message and we can keep you updated about that. We'll also email out when we start to get organized with them too. Great.
Someone's asking about the letter to the future. It's actually from the future to now that we did. So from 2021 to 2020, to say what you've learned from doing all that and can now impart to the present you. Because normally we have to wait till we get there, but because of imagery, we can get there and then come back, and then we have all that extra wisdom and information to do it right without making all those mistakes we would normally make. Only a few. There's always mistakes, aren't there? Yes. Well, we don't know if they're mistakes or not, do we?
Well, yeah, it's like everything is moving us towards the future, for sure.
And someone's suggesting a Facebook group, which I wouldn't know how to do, but maybe somebody else would know. And and someone is feeling more positive and hopeful. Anything else there?
Yeah, Julie's in Melbourne, has been wanting to come to Skiros for 41 years. We're
Oh my God.
kind of in an online Skiros for a couple of hours.
Oh God, yeah.
And saying that Melbourne is just about to be out of lockdown. Fantastic.
And there are online Skiros events, actually, if you go on to Friends of Skiros.
Okay, great.
There's a whole load of online events that have been offered.
Fantastic. Yeah, we could set up a dedicated group on the online events forum for sure. We could do that.
There's
too.
someone saying developing communities of practice is a great idea. I really love that. You know, it's great to do these big groups, but it's good to be in a small group.
Well, I think we've come to the end of our time, haven't we? I want to say big thank you to everybody who's joined us, and especially Dina, for you to give us a real taster of your work in these couple of hours. So thank you very much for that.
Actually, John, can I just say one thing which I haven't said, which is in the middle of lockdown, when I was feeling I couldn't focus on anything, I played my own CD of the visioning. I played the CD, and I saw that if I finished the year without having written this book, I'd be feeling so bad about myself. I couldn't breathe. I just got to that negative future and I couldn't breathe. And the positive future was having written the book. That is how I started on this book. The next day I started on the book. So it does work, even for me. It's the first time I actually played my own CD and it really worked. So just thought I'd tell you that. I forgot to say it.
That's very powerful, Dina. Very, very powerful. Thank you for that. Yes. Oh, it feels hard to finish, but I guess we do need to. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dina. Sebastian, also, thank you for taking such good care of the technology. Yeah, it sounds, come back and join us again in November and December and January too. We're going to have a lot of fun together, do some great things.
And thank you, John, and thank you, Sebastian, and Online Events. I've never felt so well supported. Well, I shouldn't say never, because then it casts aspersions on my past life. But I feel very well supported.
Oh, that's lovely, Dina. Thank you so much.